Baruch Hashem, we begin another incredible week of learning Hachzeik Rabbeinu Bechaye Chovos Halevavos Sha'ar HaBitachon together. And we're up to the second reason why there is a necessity for Hishtadlus in this world. And this is all within, as we concluded, the 5 principles of Bitachon. We're up to page 94 in the Artscroll, Chovos Halevavos, and says Rabbeinu Bechaye v'hasheni, the second reason, Ki'ilu lo yotzrach adam letroyach ulachazir l'sabiv la'avoyis tarfai. If a person didn't have to actually do the Hishtadlus, a person didn't have to work, a person didn't have to do anything to get his parnasa, to attain his livelihood, hu boyit v'roidev acher haveris. What would happen? One would rebel, and one would run after only averos. And do not pay any attention to what he owes Hashem. Hashem did so much good for us. And if we didn't have to actually work for our end result, for our livelihood, we would forget all the goodness that Hashem did for us. Yesharim teaches us. And again, let's just understand, we're saying something so fundamental, that if we didn't have to work, that if everything would be so easy, and the end result would be right in front of us, a leisurely, simple life, then we forget Hashem. Now let's prove this. A pasuk in Yesharim teaches us, "V'haya kinar v'nevel toif v'chalal v'yayin mishtayim." There was a harp and a lyre, a drum and a flute, all different instruments, and wine at their parties. V'ez poyel Hashem lo yabitu. They were sitting and partying, and therefore what happened? They did not think about Hashem. Yadav lo ra'u. And the deeds and the handiwork of Hashem, they did not see. V'aymer. Now we quote a pasuk in Devarim. Vayishman Yeshurun vayivat. You became fat, and what happens? Vayivat, and you kick. Shamanu avisa kesisa v'yitesh eloika asisa. And then you became all geshmak, all full of taivos, and then you left Hashem. V'amr Zechron Levracha says the Mishnah voice. Yafa Talmud Teirim Derech Eretz. Teirim needs something with it. It needs Derech Eretz. It needs to be part of this world to do the Hishtadlus. The two of them together. Without the Derech Eretz, the Torah itself is not enough, because it will come to Mishkachas Avoin, Averis will be found. Any Torah without Malacha is going to eventually come to sin. Certainly, if you don't have either one of them, if you don't do Torah, and if you don't do any worldly occupation, and he doesn't put his mind on them. So the second reason that Hishtadlus is so necessary, because if not, the lack of work will cause one to come to Averos. And therefore, it's so important for one to busy himself. Who is out of compassion, Chemla Hashem, Yis'al al Adam she'etridoi b'inyanei olam v'achrisai, that Hashem made a person busy to do things on this world. We sometimes say, I don't want to do anything. Let's realize the necessity to work, the necessity of Hishtadlus, the absolute requirement to put in effort, was the greatest chemla, compassion of the Bari Eilam, this asik yimei chayav, to work all the days of his life. And not to have the leisures to be right found in front of him, and that then he won't be able to understand anything. And then he's just going to waste his mind away thinking about ridiculous things. As the pasuk in Koheles, of course, Rabbeinu Bechaye refers to Shlomo HaMelech as the Chacham, the wise man. He also put the actual preoccupation in this world, the working, the Hishtadlus in our hearts, so that we should not be able to fan this. So you should not be able to have everything from beginning to end, so that you shouldn't just busy thinking of what happens when you have nothing to do. You start philosophizing, I don't know if that's a word. You start thinking about philosophies and what was the world before the world and after the world. So Hashem says, no, don't do that, wasting your time. Rather, you have to put in the appropriate Hishtadlus. And finally, we conclude that, but there's one exclusion. But if a person is a magbir, he makes strong the avodas Elokim, he makes Torah, he makes serving Hashem the priority. And he chooses fearing Hashem, and he trusts in Him in this worldly Torah and Olamai. And he stays away from the migunim, the disgusting things, the negative character traits, etc. And he yearns for good midas, then loy, and and he doesn't rebel, and he doesn't want to just sit in menucha, he doesn't veer just to have leisures, and the Yitzhara doesn't persuade him to just do his taivos, and he doesn't just get grabbed hold of by the taivos of this world. Then then when you get to this incredible level, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Moshe Feinstein, that the entire life 24/7 is one big pursuit of avodas Elokim, then he's relieved of the hishtadlos of this natural world in order to try to make some money, because of the two reasons they don't apply to him at all. Number one, there's no reason to test him. That was the first reason of hishtadlos, was to test him. Is he loyal? Of course he's loyal. And number two, of course he's not going to kick, he's not going to go and get caught up in the indulgences. And then his livelihood comes without any toil, whatever he needs. Hashem will not allow the righteous to become hungry. So we realize, and with this we conclude, that the fact that we have to work, the fact that we have to work hard, the fact that we need hishtadlus is all for our own good. Of course, one day Amir Tashem will become the level of the Gedalim. Rajbi v'chavirav, as the Gemara calls it, Shim Bar Yochai, that of course has absolutely nothing but learn Torah. But if not, there's two prime reasons that we need the hishtadlus. Number one, to ensure it as a test for us that we're serving Hashem. And number two, so that it keeps us occupied and that we don't get involved in the wrong things.